Relieved isn't the word. I was actually pleased to find Kirsty on my list of evening calls all week. In those rare moments when I wasn't working or worrying about my husband, the memory of my Monday visit would pop up in my head and make me cringe. Before I'm over the threshold, the words are tipping out. Kirsty, I am so sorry how I was with you on Monday morning. I didn't mean to be patronising. I wasn't thinking properly. It was 6:30 a.m. Nor was I, she says, merrily waving a bottle of beer in the direction of the microwave. I've put it in. All you need to do is press start. She'd booked a half-hour call so I can make her dinner. Maybe she wants me to whip up an elaborate pudding or something, but apparently not. It'll take 4 minutes, she continues. Will you have a drink with me? The look on my face makes her add, there's lots of soft ones in the fridge, or make yourself a cup of tea if you prefer. I'm only too happy to oblige because it gives me a chance to explain. I hadn't had much sleep. I got a call Sunday evening to let me know that my husband had been moved to ICU. I quickly add, don't worry, he's been in hospital for over 2 weeks now and I've tested negative twice. Now I'm sorry, she says, for how judgy I was with you when you've got all this going on. You weren't to know. But you did get me thinking about clinical trials. You see, by the time he got to hospital, he was so bad he couldn't speak. And they asked me if I thought he'd be willing to take part in one. And I said I didn't know. We'd never had that conversation. I asked the kids what I should say, and they didn't know either. My youngest even asked his teacher, and she got the class, well, there's only a handful of them now, key workers kids, to make one of these each, as maybe a way to talk about it with their families. I take the card out of my purse and hold it up. It says on the top, clinical trial register. It has a picture of a rainbow on it and the words, I want to be part of the solution, and a place for a signature on the back. Her face lights up. She has the most beautiful smile. But I don't tell her this in case it sounds like I'm inferring it's compensation for the fact her legs don't work. Like the old NHS organ donor card. Can I take a photo? Can you even see it from there? No worries. If this were a Paralympic sport, I'd have a gold medal, she says, waving a litter picker towards me and expertly grabbing the card at the first attempt. At one time, I would have said yes without hesitation. You couldn't find a more generous man, and always so calm. He's a bus driver, and his nickname at the depot is Mr. Chill. But at the start of this, he started shouting so much at the TV, I had to pretend that we'd had a power cut every time the daily briefing came on. He could not bear to hear the phrase underlying health conditions because he claimed it was as though they were saying those people's lives were considered expendable. At work, we call it comorbidities, which I think is worse. It wasn't just that. When they started saying it disproportionately affects the BAME community, he was like, why don't they just call us the blame community? Because that's what they're doing. I was like, no way, no one's doing that. Open your eyes, he'd tell me. Black people are more likely to be fat, which in those people's book means lazy and have diabetes. So it's their own fault that more of them are dying, not the fault of some fear dodger who spits in your face. The pinging of the microwave saves me from going on. Is this all you're having? I say, spooning it onto a plate and trying to make it look as appetising as possible. Well, since you're asking, I wouldn't mind another beer, she says, holding up the now empty beer bottle. It is Friday evening, she adds as I put the plate in front of her. Thank you, Trudy. I only pressed the button and put it on the plate, I say. I wanted to thank you as well for your idea about a buddy for people having difficulty filling in the COVID trial forms online. My boss thought it was inspired. Oh, here I am going on about my own problems. I almost forgot, I say, my hand fishing in the fridge for another beer. I meant to tell you, the idea went down really well with most of the older people I visit, except one, who I call the professor. He gave me a right earful. Let me guess. He thought it was a government plot to make old people die at home undiagnosed to keep the stats down. No, he's not like that. Instead of pictures of rainbows, he got his great-grandchildren to make him posters saying, "Do not resuscitate." He stuck one to every window. He's adamant that he's not going to hospital if he gets corona, but equally adamant that he won't take part in a trial because he says he's not going to spend what time he has left making greedy, effing, beep people even richer. Sorry, what? He claims drug companies have no interest in finding a cure for cancer or AIDS, coronavirus or any disease. They only want to make exorbitantly expensive medications that people have to take for the rest of their lives so that hedge fund managers live out the rest of their days lounging around laughing on their luxury yachts. But there are vaccines for flu, TB. I know, I interrupted her. I told him that. But he reckons even if they did find one for this virus, they would charge the earth for it, and it would be a global postcode lottery as to who got it. Please tell him the COVID-19 trials are nothing to do with making a profit. They're run by the NIHR. What is the NIHR? The National Institute for Health Research. It's the research arm of the NHS. Well, they certainly don't promote themselves. I've never heard of them. I know, she says. It's possibly this country's best kept secret. What can I get you now? I ask. But if you say another beer, I might insist you have something else to eat as well. I'm just fine, Trudy, she says. She looks at me and then adds, they will find a cure. Do you really believe that? Then my phone rings. The kids know not to call me at work unless it's an emergency. Do you mind? I ask. No, you take it. It's the hospital. I'll give you some privacy, she says, wheeling herself into the other room. I hold the phone to my ear. A voice asks if it's me. A wave of dread from the top of my head to the end of my toes washes over me, and I have to take a deep breath before I can say, yes? Speaking?